Hello, good morning everyone. I hope everyone had an amazing Thanksgiving and enjoyed quality time with your friends and family, and were able to enjoy the times and share what you're thankful for. Today I'm actually going to be doing a project using Chalk the Halls, which is this amazing transfer that has tons of pieces in here. You can see I cut all the pieces and they're back in my plastic that they came in. I went ahead, I've actually used this transfer quite a bit, so I've already gone ahead and written on the back of all of my transfers so that I know to put them on the correct side when I'm replacing them on their carrier sheet. I'm going to be doing a project on this amazing chalkboard from Couture. These boards are truly stunning. They are definite conversation pieces. We actually have a promotion going on right now for Black Friday. You can purchase these chalkboards at a discounted price. That's one of the deals that we have going on. Additionally, another deal that we have going on is a bounce back coupon. When you spend $100 or more on my Chalk Couture site, you would then receive a coupon in the mail, in your email, that you can use in the end of December, and you'll get 20% off your total order. Not just one thing, your total order. That's an amazing deal that Chalk Couture is offering right now for Black Friday. So I would suggest, if you would like to get your hands on one of these amazing chalkboards from Chalk Couture, which are, by the way, guaranteed for 50 years, I would definitely take advantage of that amazing sale and get a chalkboard for your own home. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I wanted to, because I love the Chalk the Halls transfer so much, I've done it on, as I mentioned, a couple different projects. I'm going to go ahead and use it on here. I just want to show you that even though it looks like the transfer, you know, kind of does take up a lot of it, you can manipulate your transfer to make it work how you want it to work. So, for example, let me just slide this back a little bit. You don't need to just like, oh, it's this size, I have to put it on here. No, you can kind of place it off of the board and make the transfer work for you in the direction that you want it to go. So for example, I have this part up here, so I won't chalk on here, but I want to just use this part here. So I'm going to go ahead and push down on it so that it's on my chalkboard, and I'm making sure that there are no bumps, because the chalk paste will not go through if you have bumps in there, and you'll be able to see it. So just take the extra time to just go ahead and make sure that all of your bumps are out. You can use one of our squeegees and just make sure that all of the little bubbles are out, like so. And just take that extra step to just make sure that happens, and that'll save you some time having to clean up later on. So what we have here are our 2-ounce chalk paste, and this is Evergreen. And you want to, when you open it up, you want to make sure that you give it a good stir so that it has the consistency of like a cake batter or a yogurt, so you can see that this chalk paste is ready to go. So what you do is you just take your squeegee, excuse me, and you put a little bit of chalk paste on, like so, and you just simply put it on your transfer, and your silkscreen transfer, and you pull it down. Hopefully I have the right camera angle here so you guys can see this. You want to work a little bit quickly because it is chalk paste. It's not chalk paint. It's chalk paste, and it will go on wet and it will dry hard. Excuse me. So you just want to try to work a little bit quickly so that your chalk paste is not drying on your transfer. Remember, a little bit of chalk paste goes a long way. So again, I'm just making sure that I get in here and I use the transfer how I want it to. So I have some of it off of my board and some of it on my board, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer this so that I have some on the left side of my board and some on the right. And because this is a smaller chalkboard, even though it's a fantastic chalkboard, it's one of the smaller ones, it's still an amazing board. they do have many different size boards that you can purchase on the store. And again, they are just amazing. I've used this board since I got my starter kit back in July. I've used this board for many, many different projects. So you just want to make sure you're putting all your excess paste right back into your jar, saving every little bit. And then we go ahead and just simply peel back our transfer very slowly. We don't want to stretch our transfer. Perfect. The evergreen is an amazing color. Now, what you can do is I'm going to go ahead and just actually lay this back on, trying not to hit here because that is still wet. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I take that back. I'm going to put my transfer in water because I really don't want to hit this. So I just need to make sure that that's good and dry. I see here I got a little piece off, so I'm going to show you how to clean that off. I'm basically just going to take a paper towel and use our little water bottle here. I'm going to get a little bit of water on here because I didn't want this part of the transfer on here. So you simply just wipe it off with a little bit of water. See how easy that comes off? And you can actually take your design off once it has completely dried, doing the same process. You just use a little bit of water, spray it on here, and the chalk paste will erase with just water so that you can use your chalkboard over and over again. So I'm going to flip you around here so that I can show you how to go ahead and clean your transfer. I apologize for making you dizzy. I have my little pan set here off to the side in water, so I basically just make sure I'm getting all of my chalk paste off in the water as much as I can. And then I have an old towel here that I just simply lay the transfer on to dry. Once I get most of the chalk paste off, I'm going to go ahead and put it on my towel, sticky side up. Slide it over again. And then the finishing piece is you take a disinfectant wipe and you simply clean your transfer off with the disinfectant wipe on the front and on the back. So I flip it back over and I start on the non-sticky side. See how there's still a little bit of chalk here? So I take my wipe and I just clean off my transfer, making sure that the silk screen has no chalk paste in there. And then I flip it back to the sticky side, and you're going to end on that side because, believe it or not, you wouldn't realize, you wouldn't think that this happens, but it does. Your disinfectant wipe actually brings the stickiness back to the sticky side of your transfer, which is pretty amazing. So we're going to let that dry. Unfortunately, I don't have my hairdryer right here, which I personally don't take a hairdryer to my transfers. I just let them dry on their own because you do run the risk of making them shrink with the heat. So you can see that I've actually, as I mentioned, used this transfer quite a bit, and I do have some things on the back here. It's perfectly fine. Just so long as your silk screen itself is clear of any chalk or any debris. I actually use this transfer on wood, which sometimes the wood will stick to the sticky part of the transfer, and that's completely fine. It's not a big deal so long as your silk screen is completely clear, and you can see that here that it is. All my chalk paste is gone. So we're just going to go ahead and let that dry for a minute, and I'm going to turn you back around. I apologize, I tried to do it nice and slow so that I don't make you dizzy, and we'll turn back to our project here. And so what I want to do is I want to lay another piece of the, I guess these are like evergreen branches. I'm not 100% sure. I think that's what they are. I can see that 2 people are on, but unfortunately I can't see who you are. I don't know why Facebook isn't showing me who's on here, but hello and good morning. This is still a little wet, but it's almost there. It's almost dry. I wish I had my hairdryer down here. I could dry it off real quick. But in the meantime, we'll give it a minute, because what'll happen is if you put your transfer and it does touch this when it's still a little wet, you're going to wind up pulling the chalk paste back off. So we want to make sure it's good and dry. Sorry, I'm just fanning it off here. And then we're going to go ahead while we're waiting and put the other down, and we're going to have a nice spray of evergreen going across the top. In the meanwhile, I can show you some of the other amazing pieces that are in this Chalkahols. They have this cool, I love this design. I love all these little swirly designs. I actually have that on my front door. They have these amazing flowers in here. They have these pine cones, which are adorable when you put those through the top in the green. It looks really, really good. They have snowflakes, they have berries, they have different ornaments, which are super cute and super fun. Like, they're pretty big. I'm going to use the smaller ornaments on this. And then they have these cute little dots that you can use to make it look like the ornaments are coming down from your Evergreen Spray at the top. So, let me just check this again. I think we're feeling pretty good. See how fastly that dried? Fastly, that's not even a word. How fast that dried? Okay. Just want to make sure that my transfer is also dry. And again, like I said, you manipulate this how you want. You want it to have a certain effect, then you don't need to put the whole, you don't need to just plop the whole transfer down. You can kind of work it the way you want to work it. So I think I'm going to, since I have that way, I'm just going to flip it around and just have this side like so. I'm just going to be a little careful not to move this up a little bit, to not touch that, just in case it is a little bit dry. I mean, a little bit wet over here. Alright. And then we'll go ahead and put some more chalk paste down on our transfer. Sorry, I'm trying to hold the transfer up and reach for chalk paste at the same time. Excuse my arm. Again, just putting the chalk paste on the silk screen, making sure that we cover it, and you just slide it right down. See how easily that slid down? And you know, I know a lot of people get chalkboards from different places, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, different things like that, and there is nothing wrong with that. They're perfectly good boards. But when you work with a Chalk Couture board, you can tell the difference. It just looks so amazing on these boards, and that's really what the chalk paste was meant for, and the chalk transfers were meant for, to work with the Chalk Couture boards. It's just an amazing difference. You can feel how nicely the transfers and the chalk paste just go on here. So again, just putting it on and just taking it all the way down across our silk screen. Just want to try to get this a little closer so that it looks like these two branches are kind of touching here. And again, this is for any crafting level. Everything is done for you. The transfers are already designed for you, and it's simply just using your imagination on how you want to design your piece, and it's just whatever you feel like doing. It's up to you. And it's so easy. It's just putting the transfer down, putting the chalk paste on, and taking the chalk paste back off. So I think I got those matching pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and peel this off. Perfect. That is actually what I was going for. Just get that little bit of water off there. Look how cute that looks. So now we can go ahead and add the different pieces. So I'm going to just put my chalk paste back in. I think I'm done with Evergreen for the moment. I actually just take my squeegee and put it right in my pan of water as well. You can reuse the squeegees over and over again, which is great. So you want to make sure that as you're working, sorry for my arm again, you make sure you put your lids back on your chalk paste. And what you can do, actually I'm going to show you this, because sometimes you do get the chalk paste, sorry, I'm trying to make sure I'm in here, and I don't want to be on top of my project when I do this. You can just take a paper towel and clean off the top. I'm just going to lean this down. Just clean off the top of your lid, because you want to make sure that you're getting a good seal on here with your little plastic lid, and that way it keeps your chalk paste in great condition. I just got some on my finger. See how easy that came right off? Just with a little wet wipe. So you want to make sure you have a pretty decent seal on here, and that keeps your chalk paste nice and moist inside the jar, because you do get a lot of use out of each of these two little 2-ounce jars. They do go a very long way. I've gotten many projects out of all of these jars that I have. So let's go ahead and put a couple Christmas ornaments here. I'm gonna wait until this completely dries up top and then add some of the pine cones in the chocolate color chalk paste that I have. But in the meanwhile, this is the first layer of a Christmas ornament. So we're gonna go ahead and just, I think I'm gonna do this one in the center. And again, just making sure that you don't have any bubbles in here. Where the silkscreen is, I can feel a bubble right there. Just want to make sure you lift up and get all those bubbles out. And I think I'm going to do this. I love this blue color. I think I might just do a couple, you know what? No, I'm going to actually do the bottom layer in white and then go ahead and put the top layer in different colors that I have. So again, just when we open up our jar, make sure that we had that very good seal, which we did. And you take your little stirrer, whatever you want to use, and just make sure that your chalk paste is ready to go by stirring it up. Look at that. This is actually one of our new formulas. They've been slowly reformulating a lot of the chalk paste. And so this one actually almost has like a marshmallowy consistency. And it goes on so nicely. So let's grab another squeegee, and we're going to go ahead and do this as our foundation layer for our Christmas ornament. A little bit goes a long way. Look how easily that goes on. So you saw all the chalk paste I put on there, which I did have a lot. Look how much, I didn't need that much for this. So you're just making sure that you're taking it all the way down, covering your silk screen, and that you have no lines. Look at all that left over. Goes right back into my jar. Don't want to waste any. So we're going to go ahead and peel that off. Look how amazing the white looks on the chalk Couture boards. It just pops. So we put that transfer into the water so that it gets nice and clean. I just have to make some room in here. And then let's move on. We'll do another ornament. I think what I'm going to do is, I love this shape. I think I'm going to do 2 of these on either side, and I'll show you how you can, without having to clean in between, you can just get two uses out of once without cleaning. So let's put this one, oh, might help if I had it the right side up. And you can see that this is the top here, because it's got the little piece for you to put the hook on there. So let's put this one, I think I'm gonna go right here. And then I'm gonna do another one on the other side of it. So again, just making sure there's no bubbles. Taking this and just putting a little bit of chalk paste on, taking it down, and then pulling it off. And we're going to go ahead and do the same thing right on the other side, because I just think that these 2 shapes are really cool. I like them a lot. So making sure there's no bubbles. Oops, I can feel a bubble. It's really sticky, sticking to my hand. Okay. I feel a bubble. Okay, there we go. All right, we're just going to repeat the process on the other side. A little on, a little off, and you are done. Just making sure, again, I saw some lines in there. I want to make sure I get those out. Perfect. Okay, and look at all the excess that we have, and we're putting right back into our jar. So we're going to put that back in, and I keep doing this over my board, which probably shouldn't do because I'm getting little bits on there. But just making sure you put all that back into your jar. Again, I'm throwing this in my pan of water so that that can get cleaned off. It's nice when you're doing a project like this to have a couple different squeegees available. Again, putting the lid back on, making sure I've got a nice tight seal. And what I do is, when you join with Chalk Couture, you actually, as I mentioned, you'll get this board. You will also get, I'll show you the other board that you get. if I could find it. Where the heck did I put that other board? Huh, all right, I thought it was right here on the table and it's not. But anyway, you get this board, you get a round white board, and you get 5 transfers, and you get 3 chalk pastes. And that is part of your starter kit, which costs $99 to join under my team. And it's got over $200 worth of product in the starter kit, which is amazing. And the perks that you get with joining Couture are you get 40% off of everything on Couture. That's their boards, their transfers, their chalk paste, their squeegees, which, as I mentioned, their squeegees when in your starter kit look like this. It's like one long piece. So you get one of those, but I cut them in half, and I think that it works really well with these. And then I actually bought another squeegee, and I cut them in thirds for the little detailed pieces, which are perfect. And then they also have the big guns. This is for your extra large projects that you can use, like, for example, for something like that huge transfer that I did on an old window. This is perfect to just like swipe right across, and you are literally done doing that in like a minute or two, just putting the chalk paste on. It's amazing. So I think I'm going to go ahead. I think the top part is nice and dry now, so I'm going to go ahead and add some of these pine cones. I think it just looks so good with the chocolate color, and makes it pop. Oops, it's underneath. I think there's two different sizes of the pine cone. Just trying to find the other one in here because I'm not sure. I think this one's bigger. Okay, yeah, so we have a little bit bigger one and a little bit smaller one. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use the smaller one in here and just plop down a couple pine cones using my chocolate chalk paste. So I just want to go ahead and move my carrier sheets over here so that I have them all. And again, as I mentioned, you want to make sure that you do label the back of them so that you know to put your transfer back on the right side. You don't want to put it back on the side with your writing. Just testing to make sure this is nice and dry. So I'm going to go ahead and just plop a couple pine cones. I think we'll go right here since that's a nice space. And you can layer. See how I'm putting it on top of my evergreen layer. So when you put down the transfer, you just don't want to push too hard because you do run the risk of the sticky side pulling up this. Even though it's nice and dry, you should be okay, but you don't need to go ahead and press too hard on that second layer. So again, just go ahead. Oh, and actually I am hitting the bottom of my chocolate here, and you can see it's a little thick. So what you can do in that case is just add just a tiny bit of water, and you want to start with a little bit first, and then you can always add more. You can't take the water away. You definitely do not want the chalk paste to get too runny. So you can see that just by adding that little bit of water, that made it so much better. So again, I'm just going to put that to the side, get another squeegee, get a little bit of chalk paste on here, and then kind of lightly this time because we are layering, just put a little bit, not pressing too firmly on the transfer. Put a little on, and I hope I didn't have a bubble because I forgot that step. It's so important to make sure there's no bubbles. Okay. Look how amazing that came out. Now I'm going to just go ahead and plop another one down on here. I think I'll go right here in this. Oh, I want to make sure I'm leaving room because remember how I said I have the dots that will make it look like it's coming from the evergreen? So I think I'm going to, let's see. Oh my goodness, I can't decide where I want to go with this. Maybe right here. Okay, making sure that I have no, oops, I didn't push down hard enough. Okay. Just lightly tapping it down, making sure that there's no bubbles. and putting a little bit more chalk paste on here. I'm getting 2 uses out of this before cleaning, which is nice. I wouldn't press it too far. I would say that if you are gonna try, I would say probably 3 times is the most time I would try for to get out of the transfer before you clean it, because it will start drying on your transfer, which you obviously don't want to happen. Look how amazing that looked. I love how the chocolate pops right on top of the evergreen. Now, to make it pop even more, and again, just throwing this right back in my pan to clean off. This is why, as I mentioned, it's nice to have so many different squeegees so that you can just keep right on rolling. I don't have to stop to clean. They have these really cute little berries, which I think adds a nice pop of red up here. So we're going to go ahead and do that real quick. And I was saving this space for the berries. Again, this is still wet, so just be extra careful when you're putting down your transfer that you're not hitting that. And we're just going to fill this space right here with some nice red berries. I'm actually just going to do the berries in red and not do the stem. So for this, I can use one of my little smaller squeegees and just get a little bit of red and put it on. And I'm just taking it to the berry part. I'm not using the stem part. Again, you can manipulate your transfers however you want. You can use pieces of a transfer. You can use the whole thing, whatever you want to do. All right. Ah, see how it gives it that pop of red? And I have a little chalk bunny right on there. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing over here. Just give this a little pop of red on this side as well. And actually what I'm going to do is, I think at one of my next events I'm going to use this as my demo board so that I can just take on and off the ornaments and show people how easy it is to use Chalk Couture. So we're just covering up the berries again. Again, I got 2 uses out of this, which for me, like I said, 2 to 3 uses I think is pretty much where you want to cap it before you really clean it. You guys see that? Look how amazing that looks. Now, for the topper on our Christmas ornaments, I'm going to just go ahead and put my lid back on my red. I'm dying to try this blue, this new blue that I got. This is called Azure, and when you get your new chalk paste, it actually does have a little seal over here. I usually pop that off because I don't know why I think it wipes off. So I don't forget what my chalk pastes are. I just created these little labels that I put on the bottom so I know what color I'm working with. So we want to go ahead, I think I'm actually just going to go ahead and use this on all of my toppers because I love this color and I think it goes so well in the scene. So sorry for my reaching again. Look how amazing that color is. You guys see that? Such a beautiful color. So as I mentioned with the ornaments, you've got your bottom layer and you've also got your top layer. So I've had to dig in my bag here and find my top layer for these ornaments real quick. So give me 1 second. So this is the top layer for our round ornament. Here you are. This is the top layer for this ornament. So we just want to make sure that our ornaments are nice and dry. And I keep getting, I call it little chalk poop from around the top of the lid. Sometimes it does dry, like I said, if you don't clean it, and then little, I call it little chalk poop drops on your thing. So that will come off. Just use your finger to get all that off. Okay, all right, moving right along. So you can tell that this is the bottom of it because it's got the point here, and this is where our little thing for our hook would go. So we just want to line this up as best as you can over top. Just take your time, make sure it lines up properly. I'm a little off here. Let's see, yeah, I'm a little off. Okay, perfect. Oh, I have a bubble. Just lift that up to make sure we get our bubble out. Oh, just created another bubble. Okay. Alrighty, again, with the second layer, you don't need to push down too hard. Just make sure that all your bubbles are out. It's okay if there's bubbles around the blue side here. That's okay. You just want to make sure there's no bubbles in the silk screen. So again, another squeegee. Just going to put a little bit because you don't need a lot for this top layer. This color is so beautiful. And again, I'm not pushing too hard for my top layer. Perfect. I love that on top of the white. That came out so nicely. It just really pops. I actually did put that back in water because that is my top layer. So it's going to be kind of hard for me to see to put it back on top. So I'm going to clean it in between and then do this other one. But in the meanwhile, let me go ahead and put this one on so I can show you guys. Okay, top layer on our round ornament. Oh, that worked out pretty well. That, whoop, spoke too soon. There we go. Perfect. Again, lightly putting finger over, making sure there's no bubbles. They thought of everything with this transfer. I mean, even down to the little tiny tab on the top here for to top off your ornament. Again, I'm not putting too much pressure on here, taking off all my excess because it is the top layer. Just lightly making sure all my lines are out. And see, I'm putting all that right back into my jar. Because people always say, oh, that's a tiny little jar. It is, it's deceiving. You get a lot of different projects out of it. Okay, put all those squeegees in there. I'm going to cover this up and make sure we take this off before it dries. Oh, that looks so nice. Colors just all look so good together, I think. Okay, so I want to show you the dots that, oh wait, oops, let me find, see what I mean in the details? Look at this cute little thing. This is the topper for your ornament. So once this dries, which it's might, well, let's see if we can get it on there. That actually feels pretty dry. So we just go ahead and put our topper on. These cute little details on here. And I think I'm going to do that, the topper, you know what, I'm going to do the topper in red, I think. And then I'm going to draw my line, have my line go up so it looks like it's dangling from the evergreen branches. So let's put our little topper on. I should have grabbed a smaller squeegee. Just a tiny little bit of chalk paste on here. And I'm going to get my finger under there and pull this off. Ah, see how cute that is? I love the little details. You guys see that? Look how cute that looks. Now they do actually have two toppers. There's one that's tiny for the smaller one, but then we have this one, which is for the bigger one. So our azure is pretty much dry on that. So we'll go ahead and put the topper on this guy, like so. Oh, I'm trying to do this with one hand, and that's probably not the smartest thing to do. Just lining it up, making sure it's straight. There we go. pushing down a little bit. And put a little bit of red on here and do the same. And hopefully by the time I get this one done, our little red is done over there, so I can show you guys how, oh, I missed a spot. How to make it look like it's dangling. So cute. All right, let's get this off my finger and into the tray. There we go. And putting back all of our excess. I'm going to keep this little squeegee handy for a second because I'm going to have to finish off the other one over here. Okay, so they do give 2 different size dots. So this dot could be for the larger one. I actually like the smaller dots, which are right here, so that you can make them look like they're dangling. And I think that's why I went with the red on here, because I like to have the little dots be white. But, oh, here's a smaller one. That's what I was looking for, the smaller one. So it looks like it's dangling. So I'll show you how to do that. We don't have very far to dangle on here, but I just want to make sure that this red is dry. It's still a little wet. Let me clean off my fingers real quick because I'm a messy crafter and I always get stuff all over my hands. Alrighty. So I'm just going to blow on that since I don't have my hair dryer. You can take a hair dryer or a heat tool if you like our paper crafter, and I know that they sell different heat tools. Hair dryer works just as fine to dry these in between, or you can just let it air dry, whichever. If you're just trying to be speedy because you're on a live video, then the hair dryer or heating tool is actually a good way to go so that you can speed up the process a little bit. Again, I would not recommend taking a hair dryer to your transfers. I know some people do and some people are okay with it, but for me, I'd rather not chance it. So I'm literally just trying to line up the little hole here in our ornament topper, and I'm just going to go ahead and push down lightly, and we'll add some white here. Oh, almost running out of squeegees. I have my tiny little squeegee that is perfect for this job here. And we just go ahead and cover that with some white. Take it on, take it off. Perfect. There we go. Now, I actually went a little half, so what I'll do is, once this dries, I can actually just take my nail and chip that little half of one off when it dries, because as I mentioned, it is chalk paste. It does go on wet and it dries hard. As you can see, I can rub my hands all over this because it's dry. And to take this off and to go to your next project, all you have to do is literally just take your spray bottle or just wet a paper towel, spray it on there and wipe it off, and you can move on to your next holiday project. So what I'm going to do is take the other side of this, and I can see that this red isn't quite dry. I'm just going to do this very, very carefully. Just using the other side of this transfer, and I'm going to line it up very carefully, as I said, because I'm not being patient and waiting for that to dry. And line it up to the hole in the top of our ornament. And bring it all the way to the top here. And again, just using a little bit of white. Taking it to the top of our evergreen branches to make it look like they are hanging from there. Let's see, do I need to go one more? And this is another tip. If you're not sure that it's coming through how you want it to, you can always just pull back and look and then lay it back down again if you need to go higher. I think I'm good here. I like, well, maybe one more. Let's just show you. So I'm laying it back down before I fully pulled it off. I'm going to add one more dot. Take it up just a little further. Oh, I did it again. I only did half. Okay. Then we can pull it back. And now we've got it dangling. It's a little off there, but that's okay. And you can see that I went off a little bit on my transfer onto the board where I didn't want it to go. But that's a simple fix. Again, as I said repeatedly, just a little bit of water right on a paper towel and we can clean that right up. Comes right off. Perfect. Okay. So I will go ahead off camera and finish this up because I have to clean my transfers in between, but look how cute that came out. Simple, easy, fun project for me, very relaxing project. If you are interested in any of these products, you can visit my online store, which I will post in the comments below. I would be ever so thankful and grateful if you would like and share my video. That helps get the Chalk Couture love out there. And maybe someone in your friend group would be interested in purchasing these amazing, amazing products. I think, I was thinking maybe I could add some swirls in here. I don't know, we'll think about that. Sometimes I look at projects for a little bit and then go back and add different designs. So I just wanted to show you here actually is Chalk the Halls. I'm going to slowly walk over here. Here is Chalk the Halls, the same transfer, but on an old window. So you can see how cute that came out. Again, I get a lot of uses out of my transfers and make a lot of projects for my home to give as gifts or to keep in my home. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry for the jumbling around, and have a fantastic evening. Bye-bye.